Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ella, and on behalf of Solar Quarter SEA and First View Group, I'm delighted to welcome you to our webinar, Leadership Talks Future of Energy with Solar and Storage Solutions. Today, we'll be exploring the exciting advancements in renewable energy and how solar and storage are driving the future of the industry. Thank you for joining us as we uncover key trends, insights, and strategies that are reshaping the energy landscape. Before we begin, let me give you a quick overview of what we have planned. As the energy landscape evolves, the integration of solar and storage technologies is becoming increasingly crucial. This webinar will delve into how these advancements are shaping the future of energy and introduce cutting-edge solutions examining their impact on grid stability, investment opportunities, and regulatory frameworks. Our goal is to provide you with valuable insights to navigate and succeed in this dynamic industry. Before we begin today's session, I'm excited to introduce our flagship event, the second edition of the Solar Week Philippines 2024, taking place on October 16th at the Marquee Events Place, Metro Manila, Philippines. This event will provide a holistic view of the solar energy sector guided by industry experts and will have discussions on the latest technology, finance, trends, and opportunities, and the way forward to achieve the country's ambitious goal. Let's take a moment to watch a short video about what to expect at the show. May I request my team to please play the video? Thank you, team, for playing that video. Now, as we continue with today's webinar, I'd like to make a quick announcement. Following our panel discussion, we'll open the floor for a Q&A session where you will have your chance to engage directly with our experts. Please feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A box throughout the session, and our panelists will address them afterward. Now, let's dive into our main topic, future of energy with solar and storage solutions. We are privileged to have an esteemed panel of industry leaders joining us today, and in this we have Mr. Gary Espino, Director and Head of Philippines from Sky Renewables, Ms. Jacqueline Castillo, Chief Operating Officer and Head of Sales, Marketing and Regulatory from Mahuve Energy Corporation, Mr. Carlo Abril, Vice President for Strategic Projects from Sun Asia Energy, and the session will be expertly guided by Mr. Gaston Perez de Tagle, Senior Associate from Quisumbing Torres Law Office. I extend a warm welcome to all our distinguished panelists and request you all to be on the screen. Over to you, Mr. Gaston.
Thank you so much. And good afternoon to everybody here. Thank you for joining us today. So welcome again to the Leadership Talks webinar on the future of energy and with special focus on solar and storage solutions. I am honored to be your moderator today. As we gather here, both virtually and in spirit, our goal is to delve deep into the potential and challenges of the solar energy and the evolving energy mix of the Philippines. Um, so without further ado, I think we should just get into the topics. Um, so the first topic here that we'll see is, um, you know, what is the with the overview of the Philippines energy mix. Um, what is the current? What is our opinion on the current state of this? Given that renewable energy has been sort of making its mark in recent years, sort of increasing in terms of the overall mix. How do we see it progressing further? How can we um, aid that development? And what are the challenges that we see in front of us? So I'll turn that over first to Mr. Gary Espino so that he can share his thoughts. Gary.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, uh, fellow speakers, and our audience for this afternoon. Uh, in terms of the Philippine energy mix, I think it has been very encouraging. Uh, I myself representing two major foreign investors. We operate in four countries: Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Um, we see a lot of new new players in the market. We have the existing players, the big players of the local market, and then you have a lot of foreign investors coming in. I get to meet a lot of them actually on a weekly basis now, as I am very active in the solar space. Um, I think the as a whole, in general, I think we have a very attractive regulatory environment for conducive for investing, particularly on RE, specifically on solar. And right now we see a lot of foray going into wind as well, both onshore and offshore. Um, this is the we are encouraged on how investors are looking at the Philippines, both local and foreign. Um, and I know the topic's going to be on financing later on, but I can assure you, based on my experience over the last 3 years with Sky Renewable, funding for good projects and good off takers is not going to be difficult. I have seen that happen, and I continue to see that. Uh, we are definitely encouraged in our investment in the Philippines. We've been focusing over the last 3 years on rooftop CNI, the PPA approach, the PPA model. But because of that encouragement and success that we have encountered over the last 3 years, we are now venturing into offsite and through an RES license and looking at a number of offsite opportunities with our private customers. So very encouraged. We're very encouraged on the future of renewable in this particular space in the Philippines, and we do hope to quadruple our investment here over the next uh, over the next 5 years.
Gary, for sharing that. Um, yeah, I think it's very interesting, and we do see a lot of foreign investment coming into the Philippines, particularly in the renewable energy space, due in large part to the liberalization of the sector, a few years ago. So this sector really is booming. It's almost there's too much too much interest for the regulator to actually, they're having
Yes,
some trouble as well there. So I think that's an issue as well. Um,
right.
I'd like to also turn to Carlo to give his input as well. Given that Sun Asia has a very unique project in the Philippines with respect to solar, could you give your thoughts on how the challenges that face a project like that, and um, how you envision that project, among others, benefiting the country in terms of the energy mix of the Philippines?
Okay, so with regards to the energy mix of the Philippines, I just like to comment that the latest number that the DOE reported is 22% in terms of gigawatt hours. We're 22% RE right now, and back in 2019, that was 21. So imagine in the 4 years, that's just an additional 1%. And what we want is by 2030, we're going to be 30%. So how long will that 9%, how long will that 8% be achieved? And I think it's really an audacious goal, but it can be done. But there are challenges. Like right now, why we haven't achieved that, and why we've only progressed by 1%. One thing, I guess, that the one major challenge would be the grid. Can the grid really take the the increase in variable renewable energy? Majority of this increase in RE will be solar. And then what we're hoping is that battery will complement it. But there are many ways that battery can help. But that's the first major issue, the transmission infrastructure. And then second would be the offtake. The offtake, like what we said, is that it's chicken and egg. You cannot finance a solar plant without a good offtake, but at the same time, there's no offtake. Those with rest are looking for offtake, but they cannot build power plants, and they don't know new power plants. A little number of power plants are going up, but supply is running out because the prices that are being offered are not high enough, or are not um, attractive enough, I would say. So I would say that the green energy auction program is really gonna be key, and we're really hoping that, supposed to be every year it's happening, but right now it's already the fourth quarter of
Mhm.
2024, and we haven't received yet news, or we haven't received an announcement that the green energy auction program is about to happen. So we're really looking forward that it happens this year. So two things there, transmission and offtake, are really key for us to achieve the 30% by 2030.
Thank you,
Um,
Carlo. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
I know I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Carlo. Yeah, and I think that's right now. So those are two very big key issues, and they require a lot of intervention from the regulator again. So it's really a matter of the regulator stepping in and um, getting that done as well, getting the in terms of like the green energy auction. I think, yeah, there's a lot of interest there as well. So as a in our firm, we do get a lot of inquiries regarding that, and I know that once that gets off the ground, there'll be a lot of interest there. So I agree with your point there. um, Jacqueline, do you have any comments regarding the energy mix, and how you see that contributing to the Philippines, and with the looming, supposedly there's going to be a looming energy crisis. How do you think solar will be able to contribute there?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gaston. Actually, as a retail electricity supplier, we supply to end users directly, and we transact in the WESM every day. Therefore, we see the complete overview of the Philippine portfolio. And the Philippines' energy mix remains heavily reliant on fossil fuels, with coal contributing around 57% of the generation mix. That was this as of December 2023. And it's followed by nat gas and oil. And RE, as mentioned by Carlo, is 22% of the mix. And because of the DOE's goal to increase RE share to 35% by 2030 and 50% by 2040, so with solar being a key contributor to this transition. So let's take, for example, in Luzon alone, which represents the country's largest grid, peak demand reached approximately 14,000 megawatts, while the reserve capacity is only at 2,000 megawatts. That's 13% of the total supply. This reserve margin is very tight. And in any major disruption, such as, for example, sudden shutdown of a large baseload plant, for example, Suwal plant, that's 1,200 megawatts, and we only have a reserve of about 2,000 megawatts. So because of that, if it shuts down, then it can lead to significant price fluctuations due to reliance on these base load plants. So Another example also is our reliance on hydropower, which provides about 9.7% of the generation mix, right? And during summer months, when demand is highest, hydro output is significantly reduced due to water shortages in reservoirs. This makes the need for solar energy even more critical during this period. So solar coupled with storage can definitely address this seasonal supply gap by providing, consistent power during peak sunlight hours when hydro capacity is at its lowest.
Exactly. Yeah. So it sounds like, that sort of infrastructure issue as well there can contribute to some of the troubles here. Um, and I think so. One of the topics here also is how might storage technology contribute to, maybe some solutions here. Um, and I'll pause and see, Gary, if you have any thoughts on, emerging technologies and storage and how that might address these issues that were raised just now by Jacqueline.
Okay, I'll take a stab at it, but all of 100% of our projects right now they're all on grid, purely solar. We don't engage in any battery storage at the moment. We are examining it for some of our customers, at least the smaller ones. But obviously, the real benefit of battery storage would be, it can easily be integrated into our RE approach, right? So if we're doing it for private customers, this can be adapted. Um, Obviously, the use of battery storage contributes to the grid stability somehow with the company that's using it. Uh, you are able to manage the time of use between peak and off-peak periods, because now you have battery storage can be used at night or can be used at during daytime, depending on the need of the customer. So there are definitely benefits with regards to battery storage. Our concern, okay, again, our concern as an investor is the cost to install this, because our business model allows my customers to save on their current price per kilowatt hour that they're paying their power provider. With solar alone, you can do that and you can be very, very competitive. Everybody knows that. Once you incorporate the cost of storage into a facility, which everybody calls hybrid, then the cost element plays a big role, basically, on how you be able to convert that into a very competitive rate back to the customer. Because we're dealing with individual customers. It's a bit complicated because every time we deal with a customer and we sign that power purchase agreement, we apply for the CEOC with the DOE. So it's a constant application per site as we execute. So yeah, it is cost. I go down to the basics, which is cost. In terms of technology, I've heard of a lot of new technology at the moment. Uh, so far, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the one proven right now is still the lithium ion technology. There may be other technology out there. One of the key concerns as an investor for battery storage also is the replacement cost. So you have an issue on the cost already. Now you have to go, for example, inverters, easily 11, 12 years they can last. Solar panels, how long they're going to be, they can last, 25, 30, 35 years now with the current technology. Battery technology, as I understand it, okay, can do 5 at best 7. So you have to incorporate that in your capex in the 5th or in the 7th year. A bit challenging to be very, very competitive, but at the rate and cost per kilowatt hour of adding battery storage. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. So it sounds to me that the big thing you were mentioning, not just the technology that's out there, but the cost. So that's something that project proponents would have to, be very aware of. And I recall, Carla, that you were also mentioning, the role of cost in terms of offtake and similar, aspects of the project. Um, what is your view with respect to the storage, and do you have that same opinion as Gary with respect to, the issues of cost versus, how to integrate storage into um, the solar mix here in the Philippines?
Okay. So being a renewable energy developer, and this is not just us, but the entire industry, I think we really have to be realistic that we're not a charity, but we're a business. So the cost of no power remains to be, and this is the second thought, the cost of no power remains to be the most expensive of all. So if the market will be, let the market be driven, let the market drive the price. That's, I would say, in addition to what Gary said, that and at the end of the day, the market will correct itself. So I would say that that's really the reality. The cost of storage is really would, be, let's just say that investors really need to have an attractive price to implement these projects. And again, the market will just correct itself later. Let it be, I guess, let me just correct myself earlier that the target remains to be 35% and not just 30%. So that's 13%, that we need to move for 13% increase in renewables, and that 13% can only be achieved if the rest of the market, including all investors, are on board, all the developers are on board. And again, it's not charity, it's a business. So it has to work for everyone. And if there is increase in competition, I mean, at the end of the day, if there are many players and the competition will increase, the market will correct itself. So as you see, I'm echoing a lot of the need for, essentially, the need for an attractive pricing. Um, and then also second to that is IRES being also the next technology that has to be implemented. Battery has a lot of potential, but at the end of the day, we have to be realistic about timelines of implementing, especially with the regulatory. And this is something that Meralco already successfully did, bidding for IRES. So I guess this is something that the DOE, they also announced before that they intend to put IRES, or integrated renewable energy storage systems, in the green energy auction. And this is something that we highly support, that the auction will be include the iris technology. But again, the requirement would be attractive pricing. Again, it's a ceiling. The market will compete, but they need to put a ceiling. The gear has to be attractive enough so that all the players will compete. And I guess that's what we're really calling for: attractive prices, good enough prices that will make the auction successful. And eventually, for the other needs of battery, that will require a more sophisticated auction design, I would say. But right now, IRES itself further im- will further increase the renewables in the grid without exacerbating the grid. So that's why we're really in support of IRES being part of the green energy auction. So I guess those are my thoughts, Gaston.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? How can you support something like that if you're not able to then support it with your financial model? So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Um, I'd like to turn now to Jacqueline, who has, I think, another perspective there, being, a retail energy supplier. From that perspective, do you have a, like a position or an assessment with respect to storage, in the solar mix?
Yes, Gaston. Actually, I agree with my co-panelist here. Solar energy, definitely paired with energy storage systems, plays a vital role in addressing mid-merit capacity, which is very essential to filling the gap, between the base load and your peak supply. And actually, here, location plays a critical role in determining the effectiveness of solar and storage systems. For example, in Visayas, with its island-based geography, and Mindanao, with its less robust infrastructure, they require more stable energy supply solutions compared to Luzon. So with these regions, due to their geographical and infrastructure constraints, they need reliable power that can be supplemented by storage to ensure stability and prevent outages, which are more frequent there than in Luzon. And when it comes to energy storage, I've seen various technologies being deployed in more advanced markets. When, for example, when we visited China, Thailand, and Taiwan, I saw battery energy storage systems there, as mentioned by Gary. Of course, it's lithium ion, and I also saw pump hydro storage. It's a mature technology with significant potential in mountainous areas of the Philippines, offering long duration energy storage. And something new would be, I think it's flywheel energy storage. It's an emerging technology known for its fast response times, ideal for stabilizing intermittent renewable energy.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Yeah, thanks for the input there. Um, yeah, I think in terms of storage, it's something that we're also seeing in more and more projects here. You know, there certain project proponents are applying for applying with the ERC or with to
Mm.
see, you know, to register these projects to get the necessary approvals to get them up and running. So I think we'll only see them you know, continue to grow, especially because there appears to be a need given you know, what was mentioned earlier from you know, the grid and the need to sort of manage power outtake during the when peak capacity, and when you're not able to manage it, you'd need that storage component, I think, and it's only going to continue to grow. I think just a general question to anyone out, to any of the three panelists. So being in our position when we advise our clients regarding investments in renewable energy, there's always, you know, certain regulatory difficulties that you'd have to navigate as an investor in the Philippines. Now that it's sort of been liberalized, now you can own, a foreign investor can come in 100% and operate a renewable energy project. That sort of you have to take that against the existing nationality requirements still for public land access and land ownership. I'm just curious to know what are your thoughts, and this is to any of the three panelists, what are your thoughts on what is the most pressing regulatory issue now facing solar projects in the Philippines? I'll just let any of the panelists comment if you have anything in mind.
I'd like to go ahead.
I can, yeah, sure,
Oh,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Gary.
Jackie, go
No,
ahead.
no, it's okay.
Gary first, and then Jacqueline maybe.
Yeah, yeah, go
Okay.
ahead, Gary.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. So I've been vocal about this. Based on experience, I deal directly with the regulators. I deal directly with the DOE, you know, with the ERC, with the BOI, you name it. So all these agencies, and um, things can be better from a regulatory standpoint. Things can be better. I hope that the regulators can work more together to have a more you know, congruent and practical generation and transmission plan in place for the Philippines, because the money is out there, the investors are out there. I see them, I meet a lot of them, and um, for example, uh, the DOE suspended the application for CO. I understand that they're going to resume the application by the last week of November. We've been closely in touch, and obviously my concern is I do have projects lined up already for application, and I can't go ahead and apply, you know, go through the EVOS system, and we have to wait. And we do understand what's going on. We do understand that the DOE is working to streamline the process and make it even more faster and more efficient. So that's great. I think that's welcome news. But clarity in the regulatory environment has to be very they still need to be very, I mean, they're not that straightforward, clear yet to investors, especially in the sector and actual models that I work on, where I deal with with private customers, large rooftops all over the Philippines. We have issues, all the way from application of the CO, uh, from the application of the CO to the application of the COC with the ERC. Um, there is a disconnect. Like we have a lot of operating plans in the provinces. There seems to be a disconnection with the local DUs there and the need for them to certify, a DU certification. They're having a difficult time. I'm giving you a specific example already, where we had to go to a provincial DU, ask for a DU certification, and they themselves need to clarify what the DU certification is from the NEA and from the ERC. So these are the things that's, it's taking time. It's taking time when the resources are there. I speak in particular, our resources are here. We're highly capitalized. We're ready to deploy the capital. But you have all these, unfortunately, hurdles in deploying that capital. And well, fingers crossed, we're hoping for a much better way of handling the application process when DOE opens up the CR. That's it. Thank you.
Gary, yeah, I mean, sounds like, there's a lot of things to improve.
Yeah.
Although, yes, I agree that the DOE is, constantly trying to improve the process. I think they just came out with some omnibus guidelines to help with the entire service contract process. But bureaucracy, you have to go through all these loops just to get anything passed. So it's always going to take a little longer than the private sector would want.
Yeah.
Of course, we hope it improves with time. Jacqueline, I think you wanted to give your, sorry, Gary, you wanted to say something.
Well, I was just going to add, no, in fairness to the DOE, the ERC, the BOI. Uh, I mean, hats off to them. They're very proactive. All you need to do is send them a Viber message. They'll respond to you, or email them. They'll email you back. Very professional. I mean, I salute our government agencies, for that. Except that parang hindi sila nag-uusap eh. So that's where the problem is. But anyway, Jackie, go ahead.
That's right. Yeah, please go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, I agree with Gary there on a lot of things. I can also sense his frustration, and I can also attest that DOE, ERC, and other government agencies have greatly improved over time in terms of communication and being proactive, right? But yeah, the communication between agencies, that's another that's another story to tell. But for solar and storage, specifically solar, I think the challenges that we face here in the Philippines, number one is financing and bankability. And then next is the regulatory hurdle. And of course, the most important is the grid integration. For financing and bankability, solar projects require significant upfront capital, and for banks, bankability is largely tied to long-term PPAs that guarantees offtake contracts. So for banks, they prefer these long-term contracts to reduce risk, but in the Philippines, such contracts are mostly available only through CFTs with distribution utilities or the JEA program. The JEA, however, presents challenges due to lower than expected rates, making it difficult for developers to achieve profitability. And based on our experience, also, when we go to banks for project financing, um, they would accept contracts with retail suppliers. However, they know that for a fact that retail supplier contracts with their end users are mostly short term. Even if your contract with a RES is guaranteed long term, they still see that as a risk that the rest to their end user are short term. They would allow, but of course they would also require a bigger equity compared to, instead of just 30%, they would require you 40% equity instead. But still, the solution is there. And additionally, I think the uncertainties surrounding the auction timelines and the complexity of the bidding process in the GEO program create obstacles for solar developers, particularly the smaller players. And for grid integration, finding suitable lands for solar with available allocation with NGCP is very critical. And for the Philippine grid, since it's fragile, particularly in areas like Visayas and Mindanao, integrating intermittent solar power without adequate storage leads to instability in these regions. So more investments, maybe in both storage and grid infrastructure, are necessary to address this.
Jackie. Yeah, I mean, that was a nice comprehensive answer. So lots of information there. Um, Staying on project financing or regulatory, whichever you prefer, Carlo. I think, yeah. So one of the topics today is also on innovative financial models, and given that you've spoken earlier on the importance of that, um, would you like to comment further if you on any experiences that you've had that or that you'd like to share with respect to sort of innovations in that field, or if there's anything in terms of regulatory that you wanted to raise? I see the floor
So
to you.
yep, I'll just add to what my co-panelists said, no, especially Guy, that first hats off to our government agencies, and both my co-panelists said this, that they are now much better in terms of dealing with stakeholders, communicating to us, updating us about um, the status of our applications. They are more understanding of the different circumstances. Like for example, when financially the structure, because the investor just came in, and then they're not yet part of the SPV. I mean, those matters like that, complicated details. They are now more understanding and more willing to listen of the different circumstances and realities. But in terms of the coordination, what I think would like to add is the number of people in the government agencies. So this government agency, especially DOE and ERC, I think they really have to hire more people. I guess it's really the bandwidth that is really the issue with these government agencies. They really need to attract more people, especially that I think we're back in the golden age of renewable energy. So I'm really hoping that they get to have more people on board. um this is, I guess, a call to also the budget people in the Congress and whatsoever, that to increase the budget of these government agencies so they can hire more people. I guess we really need to call it out that they lack people now. That's why there is an issue in terms of the speed of our applications.
Good thing this is recorded, Carlo.
But he did say kudos to them first. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the yeah, that's right. But I agree also. I mean, there's how many permits does a project need just to operate from pre-development up to operations? It's really a tall ask. It's a lot to take in, and you really have to. If you miss a permit or a license here or there, it can really wreak havoc on your operations. And I agree that one of the, I guess, the way to sort of solve that is for better communication against amongst the agencies. If there was some sort of integrated platform where you could do all of that, that would be amazing. But I don't think we're anywhere near that. Yeah, sorry. In terms of regulatory, I think does anybody else have anything to share, or are we sufficiently discussed here? Okay.
Let
So
me just add, sorry, to the
sure, go ahead.
regulatory. I think we're really thankful that they're trying to put in the to reduce red tape in this. But yeah, I'd just like to add on the on in terms of coordination, there are many attempts already. There are many initiatives to actually have that. For example, for transmission, there is this transmission committee. They already have this coordination among NGCP, DOE, and ERC, and all the other major players in the transmission. I guess it's really just following through with all these initiatives. For the BOI, they already put in EO18 for the green lane. So I guess all the foundations are there. All the task force that they're trying to put in are there. So what we just hope is really follow through and but yeah, support to these initiatives that they really do get implemented and get become more efficient. So what I'm just saying is that I don't think there is zero coordination. It just has to really improve and really follow through. Yeah.
Understood. Um, yeah. So again, kudos to our regulators, and we hope that they continue to exert the effort to improve, and we see their efforts, and of course we laud them for it. Um,
Yes, and
with
good luck
res-
with the new OIC as well.
yeah, that's right.
Yes, good
Um,
luck to the new OIC of ERC. We're hoping speed.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, I guess let's staying on the topic of financing. Gary, you mentioned earlier that that's really not the problem in terms of raising the finances for projects. Do you
Yeah.
see any issue though with respect to the energy sector? I know you can only speak for Sky Renewables, but have you seen any issues maybe in previous years as to coming up with a financial model or a project financing with projects? It sounds like you don't, but maybe there's some input that you have
Yeah.
um, that you'd like to share with the panel.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Based on experience, any successful project financing here in the Philippines, you know, what are the key ingredients? Quality of the off-taker is very important because the lenders are going to look at that. Your the tenor, yeah, the tenor of your agreement with the. In our case, we focus on. I keep on saying we focus on private customers. Um, and the quality of the off-taker. We even have our in-house credit processing team because you know, we're very selective. We're very selective of the customers that we offer our services to. Um, and there's really a lot of them. There's so much of them in the market today. Uh, and so those are the important things. And then of course, the standard provisions in our power supply agreement that we've used in other countries as well because we do project financing in Malaysia and in Vietnam as well. But yeah, in the Philippines, yeah, these are the standard requirements that we normally look upon, no? In making sure that we're able to successfully get financing for the projects. But in order for us, part of the I guess part of the success here is that we were able to mobilize and complete a lot of our project was because we invested our equity first. So we front loaded all our equity so that we can scale it and have operating assets. Uh, that's also part of the I guess the lender due diligence. When they see that you have successfully completed multiple projects and you have been, you've shown operating assets that generating income for you. So very, very important as well when lenders take a look at the company, lenders take a look at the power supply agreement, which is very important, and of course the offtake.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's valuable input, and I think it's something that investors can really take note of in terms of if they want to come in and invest in the Philippines. Um, Jackie, I'm also curious with respect to the retail energy. I've been hearing also from certain conferences when we attend. The ERCs seems to be a big champion of RES. Um, Given your background in that, and that's what you're currently up to, how do you see RES, the retail energy? How do you see that contributing long term in terms of contributing to the energy mix, and what what advice would you give to in, investors who are looking to enter that market?
Thanks, Gaston. Actually, that's one of the opportunities that we greatly see. For example, for Mabuhay Energy, what we did was backward integration. So we built the demand first as an RES before building the capacity to supply to us. Because it's harder to build the solar farm and then look for off takers. So it's the opposite for us. So one of the opportunities that I can see for solar developers are, not just look into the distribution utilities or just the GIA. Try to talk to wholesale off-takers as well, like the retail suppliers. But for the end users, unfortunately, you cannot supply directly to them, but only through an RES. And there are a lot of RES looking for RE supply, especially um, with the regulations that would require us to get more RE mix in our own portfolio. So that's a huge opportunity there. And also GUP as well, since the GUP is there, rest or GUP suppliers, GUP license holders would need not just a PPA for RE, but also a replacement power for RE. So if you approach one GUP supplier, they would need at least two PPA for RE. So that's already a huge market there. Aside from that, since we're also going into the renewable generation sector, what siguro these are some of our wish lists, like flexible pricing recovery mechanisms. One approach to improving financing models is for the IRRs to provide flexibility as to the pricing recovery mechanisms for solar and storage projects. So this could allow these projects to operate independently or as part of a hybrid system, by recognizing solar and storage independently, but allowing them to be interchanged as a hybrid system. This could attract more investment and ease financing hurdles. And also, what we've seen in some of the international markets are green bonds and crowdfunding, and also energy as a service or EAS. So this model allows third parties to finance, build, own, and operate solar storage systems for clients, removing the upfront capital requirement for the end users. So some of those are some of the options that we could, explore, not just the traditional way of just going to the bank.
Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unique um, structures that investors can take advantage of, and given that there's a lot of incentives and a lot of demand right now, the renewable energy market, particularly solar, is an attractive place for investors to come to. Um, Carlo, I don't think we've talked about the your floating solar project. Do you have any, from that project and the work that you've done there? Do you have any input that you want to share that would, is relevant to the topics at hand, be it in the energy mix or in storage or in financing?
Okay, so now and let's just go to financing first. What we're really looking forward to is the implementation of sustainable financing in the Philippines. Sustainable financing offers lower interest rates, allegedly. So, and I guess this is something that would be attractive to all RE developers. Is lower interest rate is much better, especially with the higher forex, with all the other economic indicators being really um, a disruption in the financial model. So at least the lower interest rates would help, but there is some sort of taxonomy that is associated with sustainable financing. An RE project does not classify as sustainable immediately. Like you have to satisfy a number of indicators. So this is something we're really looking forward to. We're thankful that the BSP already started their support to this sustainable financing, because this is a global thing. This is not just something that's being done in the Philippines, but the banks are already geared towards implementing the sustainable finance framework here in the Philippines, and we're really looking forward to that. Um, we hope that if we're not the first, we're one of the few, one of the early sustainable finance projects here in the Philippines. And I guess that's my experience here in the floating solar project that we're doing.
Thanks, Carlo. Um, yeah, very interesting, and I'm sure. Yeah, that's one um, thing that you really have to um, be mindful of is again the financial models in there. I guess turning to Gary as we wind down the discussion. So Jackie also mentioned earlier that a certain type of project would be where you would offer this energy as a service, where you would take the capital investment required, and you would be able to give your customers the energy without them having to resort to that. I just wanted to check to see if you have any input as to how you see that type of project growing in the Philippines, and do you see it sort of part of the overall um, move toward for solar to become a bigger and renewable energy to become a bigger portion of the energy mix?
Yeah, well, the way we're looking at the Philippines at the moment, um, we're expanding our CNI experience by actually investing into offsite uh, facilities already. Obviously, it's a bit challenging for us. Well, given the problems already on transmission and right of way, but as I said, there's money to be invested. Um, we have we have a very a very nice pipeline this year of private customers already waiting to be serviced. Because obviously all these customers, their rooftops are very small, so they're looking for larger facilities that can be able to deploy RE power to them. Um, so yeah, there is real opportunity on for this kind of thing, specifically right now for the offsites facilities we're looking.
Thanks, Gary.
I guess we
Um,
just have something to add. Sorry. Mm.
please do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I'm hoping that the market also still encourages all these renewable energy companies going public. There were a number of RE companies that just recently went public with their initial public offerings, and we're hoping that non-performing RE stocks will not discourage all these new players joining in. And RE is really exciting, and we really need funding now, especially including going public will be something that would be really helpful for RE to continue to grow here in the Philippines. And this is a, a call for public support, I guess. Mm. Yeah, I'm done.
Um, yeah, I mean that's also something that a lot of investors ask about as well, which is the public offering requirement, right, for RE companies. So I think there's some discussions there on how it will be implemented, and how it will be monitored. So definitely that's something to think about. Um, yeah, I think with respect to sort of again with the regulatory side of it, um, and this is open to any of the three panelists. I'd mentioned this earlier, but I'm not sure if it does apply. But access to land, so land ownership or public land, let's say access to public land, has this sort of component of a project have you ever faced difficulties in this respect, particularly because of the nationality restriction? And do you have any were there any solutions that you found that would you could share today?
I'll just go take this one, no.
Yeah.
The public land issue is, I guess, really an issue for our friends in the offshore wind industry. Because they are public waters, and majority of them are foreign entities, so they cannot. And just for everyone's information, they're having problems in terms of own even renting this, because you cannot rent nor own public waters when you're a foreign entity here in the Philippines. And this is something, I guess, that the Economic Development Council is already working on. So we're really looking forward to the decision that will happen after that. In terms of solar, private land is something, I guess, that's really an issue, remains to be an issue, because at the end of the day, it has to be an attractive cost for solar developers. That the thing with solar is that it's always being compared to real estate. I mean, when I say real estate, like building villages and subdivisions, I'm not really super knowledgeable about real estate, but I just like to note that both businesses are different. And I guess to set expectations for both are also, you have, what we're asking landowners is to set their expectations compared to a renewable, instead of comparing it to a subdivision. It's really different when it comes to solar, especially those areas that are far from that are far. The transmission infrastructure that you have to build for this far away lands will increase your capex. So we're hoping that that's the reality of things. I'll turn it over to my co-panelists because I know they have a lot of issues with land.
No, let me chime in also. Well, in our case, because we're majority foreign investors, the way we address that land ownership would be through a leasing option. So we go to the landowners, we offer a leasing option, long-term lease, or to make it more attractive to the landowner, there are transactions where we offer a JV approach. So they form part of our JV, and their contribution will be the land. So a number of things that can be done without necessarily buying the property. So those are the things that we're currently doing.
Thanks, Gary. Jackie, would you have anything to
Yeah, I
share?
yeah, I agree with both of them, and I think you really have to be very creative, with your approach in acquiring land specifically. But on previous conferences, I really hope that the government could prioritize updating land zoning policies and create special land use regulations specific to RE projects. And for policy change, it's important to establish designated RE zones. I keep saying that over and over again. If the government could help us establish designated RE zones wherein they could help developers identify areas where land acquisition is more straightforward and pre-approved for solar projects, then that would simplify the permitting process for RE, and it could even offer incentives for LGUs to expedite land related clearances. It's win-win for everybody.
Thanks. Yeah, Jackie. Yeah, I mean, so just by way of background, that's something that yeah, a lot of our clients, that's an issue that they face. Of course, everyone wants to be um, above board, and you want to access that land in a way that's compliant with
Mhm.
Philippine law. And so I appreciate those your comments, also Gary's suggestions with respect to how you might structure that rather than it being purchased, and it can just be a long-term lease. I think as Carlo mentioned earlier, it's one of the big problems would be if you have to access public land, because there it's quite difficult to even a lease would be restricted to Filipino citizens or Philippine corporations. So that's a big issue, and I think the government is working on that, trying to find a way to address that issue, given that there is a lot of so the liberalization plus the demand from foreign investors coming in, there is that need to address it. So yeah, thank you for sharing your input. Yeah, I think it's 4 p.m. Should we turn it over to the questions from the attendees? Hala?
Yes, sure, sir. I'll just screen them here on stage. We have received one here.
Okay, I think Gary or Jackie or Carlo, I think whoever wants to take this first.
Okay, let me start. Top three challenges. I think I've made that very clear. It's really the ability. I mean, the regulatory environment that has to be more in sync with each other. DOE, the BOI, the ERC, and other related agencies. I mean, at this point, even the DENR is now involved in the processing of permits and licenses. So, not to mention the LGUs and the business permits. Yeah, it's these are the challenges that keeps me awake at night. I try, um, so that's it. That's my answer.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I mean, definitely quite tough. That's something that would keep you up at night. Um, Carlo or Jackie, do
Yeah,
you have
I'll
anything to
go.
share?
Yep. So for me, in addition to what Gary said, because that's one. Second would be the perception of the project, especially with this floating solar project wherein it's new in the Philippines. And then now it's elections, that there are people trying to make noise, even though it's just all noise. Um, the public perception of the project is really important to us, especially we have investors that are foreign. So yeah, just letting you know that floating solar is a good project, and it's really not just one of the projects here in the Philippines, but it has been implemented in other parts of the world. So we're really looking forward to having it here in the Philippines. But there, yeah, public perception is something that keeps me awake at night. If there is an immediate news that really I have to tackle head on.
Yeah, because then it affects your ability to attract investors, to attract financing. And then if you
Yes.
have all these groups coming after you,
Mm.
that's always a headache, right?
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I think Jackie, we're waiting for your answer for this.
All right. Thank you, Stephen, for your question. First and foremost, I think work-related problems shouldn't keep me awake at night. But if they do, all right. Well, I think it's very unique for each of our roles with my co-panelists here. For me, number one is to keep building the demand for the generation portion of our business. So that's my role for MECO as the retail supplier. So I to be able to reach our target supply, which is 1 gigawatt in 5 years. I need to keep up with the demand that will be the off taker for that as well. And sometimes you have a certain IRR that you're targeting for your projects, right? But there are also other generators offering you RE supply, especially for me as a res. So I keep getting RE offers, and sometimes you question your IRR. I mean, how come these players offer so cheap? What exactly are they doing with their model? So sometimes you doubt it, but if you're confident enough with the technical part, the financing part, you know, it's it's really a matter of a business prerogative at the end of the day. And lastly, I think what's what worries me most is, are we are we doing the things that we want based on the values that we have for our company, not just monetary, you know, because we're here in the business for, I know it's a motherhood statement, but we entered the power business for nation building purposes out of all the industries that we can enter into. But we really want to help out. So it's really an advocate of ours to ensure that we keep a holistic approach when it comes to doing the renewable business. And I'm very frightened the with the progress that we're having developing agricultural lands, converting it to industrial lands. So it's a matter of question, what about food security in the future? So that's probably top one for me.
Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, I think. Are there any other questions, Alay, that we?
There is one more which has just been posted. I'll just share here.
Does anybody from the panel want to tackle this?
Maybe Gary.
Yeah,
I volunteered
I'll
him.
sige, let's start. Being incentivized for properly determining the okay. Okay, let me be blunt about this. Um, offsite locations. Uh, my advice is to make sure that you look for the distribution impact study, you look for the system impact study, or any of this DIS or SIS. Number one, when you're looking at a specific location, uh, number one, yeah, those studies. That's what we normally look at. Uh, I immediately contact our friends in NGCP to identify, because they do have, they will tell you areas in the Philippines where their plans are going to be, will materialize in 2027, in 2028. So all this information, and all you need to do is pick up the phone or Viber them. They will they'll be able to give you information. Again, warning: if once you get in touch with the NGCP, by law, the impact studies that they normally do, they're free. The problem is, you're gonna have if you're gonna wait for the free thing that NGCP gives, you're gonna wait a long time, and that's why you have a lot of third-party consultants that would normally do your impact studies for you if you're serious about a certain location. That's really one of the key things that we look at: the ability of that location to deliver power from that area to your customer. That is number one. I mean, again, number two, not being low on the totem pole would be obviously do your homework on the ownership of the land. Um, we have this land reform thing, making sure that they are industrial, or if they need to be converted from agriculture to industrial. So all these determinants, these are the key things that we normally look for. But there are a few things. When land is offered to us, we go to a preliminary checklist, basic questions that we ask the land developer that's offering to us, or the person that's offering to us this particular opportunity. I've heard of yeah, this CREST thing. Are there trainings? I don't know. I don't know. I leave it to the
Yeah,
my co-panelists to answer that. The way we're
yeah,
doing
maybe
it now,
I can help answer that, Gary. Thank you for the question, Erica. Currently, CREST, or this is the competitive renewable energy zones, right, that you're referring to. It's not formally implemented in the Philippines as they are in countries like the US. However, DOE has been exploring similar strategies to support RE development by, as mentioned by Gary, by identifying potential areas rich in resources. The closest, I think, the closest initiative in the Philippines is the RE zones mapping project, the Renewable Energy Zones Mapping Project, which it aims to pinpoint regions with high potential for renewable energy projects, including solar, wind, hydro. So this project is part of DO, DOE, yeah, that's DOE's efforts to meet its RE targets by identifying the key areas where RE investments would be the most. But for CREST itself, we don't have that yet in the Philippines. That's why we're really lobbying for something like that. So for the for the renewable energy zone mapping, it's a partnership of DOE with international organizations like the National Renewable Energy Laboratory and also USAID. But I really hope they could hear our plea to have this already here in the Philippines.
I think that pretty much answers the question. They both already said what I wanted to say as well.
Thanks all. Yeah.
Couple more questions.
It's a permit hurdle baby founder of your experience. Okay. So yeah, basically what are the regulatory issues in terms of permits have you guys faced? Aside from what was already mentioned earlier, is there anything else that you care to highlight um, in response to this question? So yeah, again, any of the three panelists, please feel free.
Yeah, I think we've had a lengthy discussion earlier on some of the specifics of this, but I think it's also worth highlighting the difficulty of having the land converted from from agricultural to industrial. So that's also one of our bottlenecks right now.
Yeah, that's right. And time consuming, no?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
And then
very.
the others would be like if you go farther, sometimes they're already part of the NCIP, or they're part of the NCIP, or rather a protected area. So
Yeah.
those are major issues. When you venture farther with areas that have, large parcels of land, they tend to become part of those restrictions. And permitting now becomes really headache.
Because you're basically just buying the rights.
Yes.
um, Gary, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share apart from what you've already shared earlier?
everybody said already of it. You can add the LGU challenge.
Yeah,
You need
yeah,
you
exactly.
need a Sangguniang resolution or whatever these things.
Yeah, that's right.
And they change
So
every 3 years.
Yeah, you had the
yes,
resolution, but you had the approval before, but not anymore. Huh? Yeah, I think
One last
so.
question.
I think there's a question in the comment section. Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Storage with it. I mean, if there's anybody from the three panelists who'd like to have a go, please go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it's just let's just be honest that If this is not enticing, then why would San Miguel build 1 gigawatt of battery? So yes, it's very enticing to be to bid in this ancillary service. The only issue is that it's build first. So that's the difficulty here. It's a build first matter. That's the consideration that you really have to take note of. It's build first. Mm.
Jackie
Yeah,
and Gary, you have anything to share?
yeah, agree
Um,
with Carlo there. Aside from, you know, the risk management side of it, because it's long-term contract, that's already very attractive in nature. And for sure, there are better profit margins compared to just energy arbitrage. So 2 points for me. It's a yes for me.
okay. My answer here, would it be enticing to a developer? My investors are return driven. So we meet our returns, we'll do the project, we'll fund it.
Thank you. Um, are there any other questions that the audience would like to raise?
No, that's about it. We've covered all the questions here. So, as we conclude this enlightening webinar, I'd like to express our gratitude to all of the attendees for their time, and special thanks to our esteemed panelists for their invaluable contributions, and a special thanks to Mr. Gaston for incredibly, moderating the session today. We promise to be back soon with other exciting sessions. I would now like to, open it for the panels if they have any closing remarks, or if Mr. Gaston, you have any closing remarks.
For me, I mean, I was very thankful to be given the opportunity to moderate. It's been very educational for me. So I thank the panelists for their input, and I thank the organization for putting this together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, if anyone else would like to give some closing remarks, Ms. Jacqueline, Mr. Gary, or Mr. Carlo.
I'll go
Uh,
first. So
all
mine
right.
is just really a call for the auction to happen this year. Hopefully, please, together with the new ERC OIC. The gear is in your hands, so we're setting it. Would be really helpful this year for the auction to happen this year. We're really looking forward to it. Again, offtake is really an important part of us of financing a project. So we really are calling for the JAP to happen this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Jacqueline, you wanted to say?
Jackie,
Yeah,
you want
sure. So just maybe a few notes. Looking to the future, of course, solar and storage will play a central role in the Philippines' energy transition. So by 2040, the energy landscape will likely be dominated by solar, and with storage providing necessary flexibility and reliability to make renewables the backbone of the grid. And although it may be it may look restricting and such a hassle for some of the regulatory challenges that we may encounter. I hope this doesn't discourage the investors or the developers to still push through, if not for the business model, at least for the economy of the Philippines. So I hope we can help each other out. I know it's a or still an emerging market, so definitely there will be a lot of challenges there. But if we can help each other out, instead of killing each other with competition, then I think it will be a better market for everyone in the future. And thank you also to Solar Quarter for organizing this event and for inviting me. It's been an honor to be part of the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr.
okay.
Gary.
Um, Yeah, from Sky Renewables, we believe that these are very, very exciting times for the Philippines. Um, we really are encouraged. The investors are very happy on how things are moving despite the challenges in the country. We will continue to invest. We will continue to deploy enough capital and resources to meet our targets over the next 2 years. I see a lot of investors, both, as I said, no, both foreign and local, coming in. So again, we were talking about that we are at a 22% level of RE. Um, just to take that, from 22 to 35%. Um, Somebody read out a number to me, in terms of gigawatt hours and gigawatt scale. I mean, I think that the Philippines will need everybody's help to achieve the 2030, the 35% target of the government. The Philippines will need everybody's help. I mean, Sky, Mabuhay, Sun Asia, and all the other investors, even the large players. Um, we're going to need, the Philippines will need all of that investment to actually hit the 35%. That 35% amount of investment is in billions of dollars. If you actually quantify that, reaching that level. So, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of balancing that needs to be done because RE as well, solar in particular in my sector, as they're very, very intermittent. So we need to balance that with merit or baseload plants. We're looking at options right now. The options are not cost effective if you're looking at the options we are examining at the moment. So we hope to continue, the dialogue with the government, and we hope to be able to grow, the growth of RE sector in the Philippines. So we're very, very encouraged. And to Solar Quarter, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be with, to meet everyone and to meet my co-panelists here. And Gaston, nice to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And before we conclude the session for today, I would once again like to thank our panelists, our moderator, and all the audience for joining us today. And don't forget to join us at the Solar Week Philippines 2024 event taking place on October 16th at the Marquee Events Place, Metro Manila, Philippines. So stay ahead in the world of solar, and I would just be playing the video once again for everyone's knowledge. Thank you all once again, and with this we bid goodbye to all our audience here. Thank you, and we'll see you again for more such sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.